Visit my friend Stephen McGee. He's a filmmaker, and I went ahead and started.
Good.
Is that okay?
I think that's great.
I wanted to do a Facebook Live with Stephen. Say hello.
What up, though? All right.
Yeah, because I've been reposting all of his. Are we getting in my car?
I think we'll get in my car.
Are we getting?
Detroit.
I'll be glad for you to drive around.
Yeah.
When you suggested it, I was a little concerned that I wouldn't know where to go. We're in Detroit. Hey, something interesting about this building, though. When I was here a few years ago, they were shooting a movie here with Demi Moore and Hannah Montana.
Hannah Montana. Yeah, and literally, if you go to the third window, that's where. Oh man.
Did you ever watch the movie?
No.
I never watched the movie. It was called LOL.
Yeah, well, that's why I didn't watch it.
It didn't do well. But they were shooting it when we were here one day.
Yeah.
And I had my cell phone out because I was trying to take a picture of Hannah Montana. It didn't work out that way. I always loved the story, Stephen. You told me that you met her driver.
Yeah.
And he was
We
kind
became
of
friends.
dogging on life. Like, I have the
Yeah.
worst job ever. My job is to take care of a teenage girl.
Oh, this is right.
And you pointed out to him, you said, well, in my faith tells me that the people who serve are the greatest in the kingdom.
Oh man, it's so true. Yeah, and then from that moment on, he, I don't know, he kind of was like texting.
Yeah, it opened a door. Not just opened a door, but you began a friendship with a guy who maybe needed some love in his life.
Well, I think a lot of people at the top of their game are pretty empty when they don't have anybody around. And that's what I hear about somebody who was the translator for Taylor Swift over in Korea.
Okay.
He's like, she just like needs friends.
Yeah.
You know, and so like when you just reel with people, it really throws them off because so many times people are just like super fast and self-centered. So it's just like, hey, what's up? Yeah, you're the driver of somebody really cool, but like, what's your story?
T-Swizzle needs some friends.
T-Swizzle. Sweezy.
You've had a chance to interact with all kinds of interesting people, and as an artist, I tell your story often. And so can I paraphrase it, or do you want to tell it?
Go for it.
About coming to Detroit?
Yeah.
So tell me if I'm telling it right, because sometimes I wonder if I'm getting it right.
Right.
So I'm not sure of the year, but you graduate film school.
I failed out of film school.
So already I'm telling it wrong.
Yeah, well, that's all right.
But you were in Southern California, and as anybody would know, if you're going to go into the film industry, that's a great place to start.
Yeah.
And against the advice of anybody in the industry,
Right.
you felt like the Holy Spirit or the Lord said, go to Detroit.
Well, yeah. I mean, for the most part, the Holy Spirit, when he works, sometimes is that clear. But at the other times, if you just kind of notice what's happening and you believe that God's working, I feel more than this like kind of ghosty pie in the sky idea of where should I go. You just see what's happening and you're like, this is kind of where God's leading me. So I was traveling around the world working with nonprofits over in Vietnam and a couple other post-conflict societies like Angola, and super heavy material, people dying in front of me, that kind of missionary life that is pretty intense. And the newspaper in Detroit was like, hey, can you come out and show our photographers how to shoot video and start a video department?
And this is what year?
2005, or kind of 2004, early 2005, when nobody wanted to come to Detroit. I mean, nobody was listening, to the city. And that's kind of what blew my mind when I came here was, I had never seen an abandoned building. I mean, I had seen abandoned buildings in Cambodia, which like had monkeys and enormous spiders, but like
not in our country.
And you're, as a photographer, that's incredibly rich content. But what drove me was the people I met that were right behind, right next to those abandoned buildings and how strong they were. So it kind of blew my mind.
And I know early on you were shooting stuff for the Detroit Free Press, but you were also making all these little short films about the people that you would meet literally cruising around on your bicycle around the city of Detroit. Do you still do those?
Yeah,
or is business just become busy enough that?
Well, we're driving around right now just because I love kind of keeping up with my city. But when I was super broke, I mean, the crazy thing is like we won 2 national Emmy Awards in our first 2 years as a filmmaker, which is just insane. But then I felt like even though we were winning these awards, it wasn't really where God wanted me to be for more than the 2 years that I was there. I had this like insane like feeling inside that I needed to do something different, but I didn't know what that different was. So I stepped out of my comfortable job and made $9,000 a year for the next 3 years, and didn't have money for a car, but I bought a car from another missionary friend of mine, Amos. He sold me his car for $1, so I got to drive that around. But when I didn't have gas for that, I biked. And so I wanted to get to know my city more, and ran into this boxing gym that I covered for a couple months. And that footage didn't really go anywhere until someone was like, hey, I want to, help this boxing gym. They're going to close. And this boxing gym helped countless boys through school and mentoring, and as well as boxing. Long story short, that footage raised $15,000 on the first night, then got to Dan Gilbert. Dan Gilbert sent it to his family companies. 5 years later, after I shot it, it raised $170,000 in one night. Then Madonna with no last name.
Yeah.
Not anybody else.
Right.
Wow. Whatever. She came to town and she's like, hey, Dan, who should I go see as a nonprofit group?
Oh.
And he sent that video, and she came by unannounced and gave him $1 million check.
Wow.
Which, for programming, that's like next level. When you have an ability to not stress out about finances because you realize God's in control,
right,
and you have a talent that you're willing to be, used with, I think God's going to use you in ways that end up like the Madonna thing, or end up where nobody sees it except for one person or just God. And that is kind of how you impact the kingdom.
And that, I think that's the same boxing gym that's featured in the movie that's linked below, correct?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Very much so.
I love it. I love it so much. Well, the interesting part that I tell teenagers is that you said yes to God. You did something that didn't quite make sense, but you felt like the Holy Spirit was leading you to do it. But through that, the professional aspirations of probably every young filmmaker in Southern California were fulfilled when you sort of followed the non-traditional path that the Lord had laid out for you, with the awards, with the notoriety, and then on top of that, the ability to say yes to the projects that you had on your heart to do and wanted to do, not just the projects that had a bottom line that ended in a big paycheck. So it's interesting. I love it. We didn't get a chance to do it today, but I love that you've got your apartment here in Detroit with an Emmy Award sitting on your desk.
Oh, well, yeah. we could probably end there.
Well, maybe
actually, it's not even sitting on my desk. It's probably holding up some unmentionables from my kids. It's covered in things
use it to dry laundry.
Well, yeah, it's,
no, I get it.
First of all, awards are really strange because it's what the majority of people live for, in terms of that accolade. But I had to pay $500 for the dinner just to go there. I had to pay another $400 for the award, and then when we won the next year, I'm like, okay, I'll go for the dinner because it'd be nice to network. And then we won again, and I'm like, I'm not going to buy another trophy.
Right.
So it's it seems like it's a off-the-cuff type, deal, but really it's just it's something you can access that people use, but you can't make it your life, that's for sure.
Well, it looks like we're somewhere interesting. We're on Jefferson Avenue, just I guess north of downtown.
Yeah, just east.
Or is this east?
Yeah.
This is east. I get confused because the water line doesn't follow the direction that I think it should. So do you want to tell us what we're seeing, or do you want to tell us what's happening in this part of the community? Is this where things are happening? I know that people on here can't necessarily see where we are. I suppose I could turn the camera around and show them a little bit.
I thought we could go into one of my favorite buildings.
Wait, are we gonna go urban exploring?
We could go urban exploring.
I've never done that.
In the next 2 minutes.
But I see what looks like an officer of the law in front of us. That's okay.
That's Hank.
You know that guy?
No.
That's U.S. Border Patrol.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we're following him. We shouldn't get into that conversation.
What building are we gonna go in?
I think we can go into the old. This building is on the riverfront. It's been abandoned forever and has the largest collection of this art called WPA art, which is mid-30s, 1930s art that was commissioned from the government because nobody was making money at the time, and artists especially were broke. And so the government put a ton of money into artists who said that they could, make some art. And that's kind of
to
where
create jobs.
Yeah, that's kind of like the Shepherd Ferry, you know, like the Fist or the Obey, like those types of. He really got a lot of his influence from the WPA era, which had like, you know, Strike or like Grow Corn, or, you know, it was more like public service announcements, but they were like really well done.
Yeah.
And so this
I never
building
knew that.
was the Armory. It was Michigan's Navy had their base here, and it's, you know, it's where Joe Louis had his first fight. It's Franklin Roosevelt had a famous speech here, but then
Go ahead.
It got abandoned a couple years ago.
And I think FDR was the one who executive order started the WPA, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. So.
And I don't remember what WPA stands for, because I remember the joke was in the 1930s, if you were making fun of it, you would call it "we putter around."
Oh.
I don't know if I don't know why I know that.
That's some in-depth.
Yeah. So the that was the political satire of the day. If you were gonna criticize the federal government, that was one of the things that they would criticize. But yeah, the WPA gave jobs to all kinds of people, and so I wasn't aware that he hired artists to commission.
So this is the building.
murals.
Are you comfortable with this?
Am I comfortable with this? I'm comfortable with this. I've never been arrested though. You should know that. But
I've only been pepper sprayed.
If that you have not.
I've been pepper sprayed twice. Yeah, totally.
Okay, so if anything like that happens to me, I'm gonna cry like a junior high girl.
Just jump on my back.
You just need to be forewarned.
Jump on my back. I'll carry you to safety.
Nice. We're right on the Detroit River. I'll show you around here as soon as we get out, and you can see some context of what we're doing. This is really cool.
All right, let's make it quick.
Okay.
I always want to. I mean, like a large part of like the love of Detroit is these buildings that are empty, and you want to care for them. You know, it's like Indiana Jones, like this belongs in a museum.
Yeah, yeah.
But this art here is like, this is where, you know, we defended from, you know, I don't know. It's just crazy the amount of history that's in this type of a building.
I feel like I'm in 8th grade again. Sneaking into burnt out buildings.
Is there a flashlight? Here, I'll put a little flashlight on. I wanted to come in here because I want to check on this art.
I'm getting pretty good lighting actually.
Yeah?
So far.
It's going to be pretty good. There aren't any holes to worry about. But there are things like this. So the city just recently put this up for a bid for somebody to bring it back. But I mean, like, you can tell, like, it's pretty far gone. But at the same time, the bones are here.
It's got good bones. That's what I was just gonna say.
So nobody could come up with an idea of what this should be. So like, this is one of this is like the game room, officer's game room. Like this is a room where like Joe Louis had his first fight.
Wow.
You know, like that's insane. And so like snappers took off one of the I-beams right there to take the metal, like these enormous I-beams.
I was gonna say there's still a significant amount of metal in here.
Yeah. Well, you can see. You might want to.
I got a good angle on it, I think.
Yeah. There's also some
Oh.
things on the walls you don't want to shoot.
Okay.
But scrappers surrounded by them. Just point up. There's scrappers that took those things out.
That's not the artwork we came to see.
No, that's not the artwork we came to see. Yeah. And so they took that, which is just, you know, that's kind of how these buildings start to die. But I'd love to show you this art. And they're not the artworks you've come to see.
Yeah.
They're not the drones you're looking for. Okay, where's my flashlight?
The light on your face was working well on my
Just to get right. There's no banister, so
it just gives me something to look at.
yeah, for sure. Gotta find the officers' hall really quick.
Should we check with the receptionist? But thanks for the courtesy laugh on that one.
I got you, Josh. I got you.
Thanks.
There you go. Okay. So this is where the top officers were to have their drinks at the end of the day. Soul bar. This is called a fresco. Okay. Are you getting any of that? Yeah. This is the this is basically a Navy scene that one of the top fresco painters painted onto stucco. It's this type of painting will never go away if it's treated right. It's kind of like one of the first types of art. I'm totally not being eloquent right now.
That's all right.
But I love this hall. This is the U.S.
Oh, wow.
history of warships. It's just here. It's just sitting here.
Yeah.
No one is taking care of it. It's like, I mean, Detroit had more money in the 1910s to 1940s than any other city, even more so than New York and Los Angeles combined. So like we had money for art, we had money for these buildings that are insanely elegant.
It was known as the most cosmopolitan city in America at that time.
And this is one of the larger frescoes. Watch out for that over there.
Yeah, yeah.
Keep the point that way.
Right.
But yeah,
that
so
artwork's not worth keeping.
that artwork. Yeah, but you know, part of
I'm going to try and come in close to see if we can look at some of the detail on this. I don't know how much of this shows up on Facebook Live. So that goes directly onto the stucco.
Yeah.
And what's the? I mean, it's not an oil. What is it? Is it?
I mean, it's just crazy it's here, you know. And we're kind of responsible as a culture at this point to make sure this stuff doesn't go away any further. You know, I think that's kind of that's a big calling for a lot of people. I don't know.
Has anybody ever made a film about you?
Oh, well, we're working on it.
Really? Oh. Somebody already beat me to it.
No. I mean, there's a lot of ways.
I mean, I feel like we're not doing the visuals in here justice by just sharing it on Facebook Live.
Right. But I mean, you can see like what scrappers do here. Like,
Yeah.
So this was the main pipe that just for the air escaping where the fireplace was, and they wanted whatever was out. But in the meantime, they took out this canvas. I mean, so this is an entire
Right.
canvas of original art. You can't teach that. Now there's another building with like 5 million uncut baseball cards that's going to be scrapped. I was going to go there next, but that's kind of a longer journey.
Is it?
Yeah.
Should I make this a two-parter?
Yeah, if you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there anything else here we want to see before I end this stream?
I think that's it. I just wanted to see kind of where this was at, because if the city's not going to take care of it, we got to figure out what we need to do as citizens.
Practically, though, what do you do with a room like this? Because I don't.
Well,
I mean, do you remove sections of wall and put them somewhere else?
Well, you know, I don't want to be like, Dan Gilbert's doing a great job.
Because you can't restore this building. I mean, this.
You can't restore
the bones
floor.
are good, but you're talking.
The painting, though, look, the painting is what you need to.
Yeah.
do.
But-
And you can even see that the painting went into the sky. Like, they kind of tried to do sky underneath this drop ceiling that they put in the 60s.
Right.
So, I mean, Dan Gilbert has done like tons of buildings that I've gone through, and what he does really well, what some people are trying to do really well, which is the most expensive type of rehab, is keeping sections of things original. Yeah.
Got it. So someone just asked, where are we exactly? I know you said when we came in, but I've already forgotten.
Do they work for the city?
No. Wait a second, are you a cop?
Why, you cap? Why? What does that matter? Yeah, just.
It's the old Navy Armory.
Yeah,
I think
it's the Navy Armory.
the simple answer.
Yeah, on I got it.
Let me see what you got. You looking.
Well, you know what I didn't do?
I just want to know what does Stephen McGee take pictures of?
I've loved this doorway, and I haven't had the right lens, and so now I.
Got it. Can I look over your shoulder?
Yeah, it was the Navy shot right there, but I didn't format my card because I just came back from France, and I've only backed up my cards once.
International filmmaker problems.
Well, you see, somebody paid me to go there, and I just had to have some croissants. I don't know, whatever. But no, that was rad too. That was with the United Nations. It was insane.
Of course it was.
But no, but like Detroit became the first city to design in America.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And so we had like 60 people come over to France and like basically give Detroit experience to the French. They freaking loved it. It was so insane. We had this like they had a coal mine in Saint Etienne that basically was like our auto industry. It powered the Industrial Revolution, and then it left. And so they were left without jobs. And so this, not very beautiful town is now being remade by makers, just like here. And there's towns across the U.S. and across the world that are trying to redefine themselves. And what we've learned as a city, is beyond textbooks. And so what a lot of people are trying to do is formulate a plan to help these other cities that are kind of, we call them Rust Belt here, but there's, cities, like I said, across the world that can have what we know, and I think actually help them a lot. So we went over to this French city, and the makers were like so stoked that we were just like talking to them. And the best Instagram comment I got was, "Thank you for showing the beautiful parts of our city." And I felt like that's like just echoing what we've been saying for Detroit for like forever.
Yeah.
It's like, why are you just focusing on those abandoned buildings? Even though we're in an abandoned building.
I was gonna say that's what we're doing right now.
Well, you see, like it's part of it. The whole idea of a human is, do you see their problems or do you see what their potential is? And I think when you look at the buildings that we're in, like this, do you either see this as a problem or as a potential for redemption and resurrection? And far too many people just stop. Conference call for a shoot. Far too many people just stop at the emptiness. They're like, I don't want to get involved in your life. I don't want to get involved in this rehab. Let's just tear it down, start over, or whatever that means. And so I think one thing that I've noticed in the city is the ability to move beyond just what you see and believe in something bigger.
And you've lived that. You've lived that. Should we end this one and maybe pick up at another location, or do you got a conference call? I'm just going to show a shot out the window because I live in the suburbs, so all these views are interesting to me. Ooh, maybe even frame it with a window pane. You see, I'm also a filmmaker, an iPhone filmmaker.